Flood's Sister by Erna Semper. It rained and it rained and it rained. The shabby frontier police of Githyan grew hodgepodge on a mesa, isolated by gullies and gulches of piled clay and hill-sized debris weathered off the upper plateau. 10 months out of the year, Githyan's people descended their mesa under the hot sun, taking the track to Turtamos, or over to Antenoesis, or into the plains to Thyatira, fording a thin, brassy trickle of water in the arroyo. In late summer, heavy rains swept the plateau face. Then, the barren, dry canyonlands boiled with red, muddy chaos. The mesa became an island accessible only by hopper, separated from slouching badlands and the plateau's towering slopes, ranging east to west, 8 kilometers high. Lonely traders took the trails by mule north in dry weather. Today, an angry sea divided Githyan from the badlands. Shriani couldn't decide if isolation excited or frightened her. She walked the trail to the switchback, as far as Mum permitted, and took her brother Senarath. He lay on the edge of the road, looking, heedless of mud. She stood with their umbrellas, trying to keep dry. "Wow," he said. "Look at the waves. Look at the foam. Our house would float away in that. It looks like a river of curry. Yuck." They watched the yellow russet and grey foam boiling against the cliffs. "Hey, something's in it," Senarath said. "Look." He pointed. She squinted. "A branch? From what?" "No trees in the Badlands." "Oh, a barrel." "No, it isn't." The children leaned farther. The flotsam tumbled and spun, disappeared, bobbed up and struck the cliffs. An eddy caught it and swept it into a mesa cleft. "It's a boat," Senarath said, edging out on a projecting rock. The odd boat, stubby, wide, deep, tossed lightly on the cataract. "Betcha it sinks." "Something's in it," Shriani said. They lay there watching it bob and dip, battered between vertical slabs. "It's a kid," Shriani said. She knelt and gripped the rock tight with one hand, umbrella in the other, mouth open. "No." "Yes, look. I see her face." "How do you know it's a girl? Could be a boy." "Come on." She jumped to her feet. "Whoa! Where are you going?" "Closer." Senarath followed. "Mum says this is as far as we go." "We can still see the switchback," Shriani said reasonably. "We're not near the water, and it's been going down for 3 days." "Willing," Senarath tagged along. "Those waves are scary." "Imagine how she feels," Shriani said. "Oh my gosh." She leaned over the edge again, folding the umbrella and passing it to him. The pale face, meters away, looked up, mud spattered. The girl's mouth, Shriani was certain of her girlness, opened and shut. But if she shouted, Shriani couldn't hear. The boat jerked. Shriani gasped. It almost broke free, settled, slammed back. "Why's she in a boat?" Senarath said. Shriani sat and hung her legs over the fissure above boiling, flooded darkness. The boat settled in the cleft 6 meters below or so, rattling left and right. "I can climb to her." She hesitated, looking for places she'd put her hands and feet. Like any Githyan child, she'd scaled the mesa in fair weather, but not on wet, muddy rocks. Senarath's eyes widened. "Nah, you'll die. Let's run find Dad." Senarath studied the boat, banging, its prow jammed among ledges usually 20 meters above the arroyo. "No time," she decided, and started descending. Stay here. Shri, he cried, anguished. She wedged herself between slippery rocks, elbows, knees, hands, boot toes. Above her, she saw Senarath's wide-eyed face, fingers flexing as if imagining climbing after. Don't you dare, she thought. Holding on, she looked. The tiny figure, wrapped in wet, mud-stained cloth, clung in the boat, mouth working. I'm coming, Shriani yelled. I'm coming! Twice, she thought it would rip away. The figure lay inert until Shriani approached close enough to extend a slender brown hand. I'm here! Rag-wrapped fingers grabbed hers. Running with dissolved clay, the girl rolled to her knees. The boat wobbled and bobbed on the cold, boiling foam. Shriani's heart hammered. How am I going to fetch you out? She jammed boot heels in the cleft, gripping the rock face with one hand, and tugged the girl, hoping she'd release the shell's frail gunwale. Shriani did not know much about boats, but she thought it looked more like a hollowed-out gourd. Maybe it would break. Come on! A perilous instant, the other child poised. The deep slice in the mace's face focused a megaphone of flood and sound and chaos at her, disconcerting pandemonium. The hand Shriani held trembled. Shri looked up at Senarath, and then at the other child, rain running over her face. Gotta pull you, she said into the maelstrom and yanked. Hard. The girl leapt, grasshopper-like. Shriani wrapped an arm around her, heels slipping, caught herself. The disburdened boat sprang on the ruddy scud, catching a wave that sucked it away. Come on, Shri cried. Come on. Out of the boat, the girl clung wetly to a rescuer, heaving with breath inside her caked, wet windings, then climbed on, past her, heading with determination towards Senarath. The two children ascended, fingers in handholds, Senarath shouting encouragement. When the girl from the boat reached the top, she hung panting, and Shri's brother pulled her the last half-meter. Shri! He put out his hand. Gasping and exhausted, weighing kilos more with mud in her pockets and boots, she let him drag her to lie, coughing, on the road. The rain washed her face as she stared at the grey sky, black hair spread in red mud. Dad's gonna be mad, she said. How's Mum gonna clean this coverall? Cha, you're a hero. You saved her, Shri. He danced with the umbrella. Yeah, I did. She rolled over. The little girl was no larger than Senarath. How'd you end out there? Oh my gosh, come on. Can you walk? The little girl could walk, and she and Shriani hobbled, rock-battered and cramped, with Senarath through the cutting and to the mesa's top. Kilometers across, fields and orchards spread around the town's rough grid of buildings and streets and ragged shade trees. It connected to the Badlands and the rest of the plateau edge by a long, slow saddleback now underwater. Mum, pulling the last of the turnips with other women in the collective fields, saw the disreputable figures trudging the road. Shriani, she shouted, and Senarath. She came running, mud flying off her boots, and other women followed, kerchiefs and shawls wet with the slow drip from the sky. What have you done? There was a girl in a boat. Shri got her out. I helped pull her up. Senarath brandished the umbrella. You went to the water. She would have drowned, Shri said. We told you. Mum looked at the little girl, shivering in her rags. The girl crouched in the muddy lane, knees jutting as high as her ears, fingers digging into the regolith slurry and gravel. Oh, my heavens, Mum said and picked the child up. Whose are you? Anna, run to the Nomarchus office and let them know a child fell into the flood. She tried to wipe the girl's face. Why don't I recognize you? Oh my God. She was in a boat, Shriani repeated. Call the nurse too, Anna, she shouted after the woman. These rags. Your father, she said, will kill both of you. We told you not to go near the water. Behind their house, a rooftop tank supplied a shower. In good weather, the sun warmed it. But in wet seasons, it had to be heated to lukewarm by an electric coil. The little girl tolerated the chilly shower and the gentle wiping and scrubbing. Mum brought one of Senarath's old coveralls that hadn't been shed back to the collective, and a towel, and surveyed the scene. My, she said. Shri sat on her heels. Yeah, I know, she said. She hung the ochre-stained face-cloth. Well, Mum said, let's dress her. The clothes fit poorly, and no shoes would. They put her inside by the heater with a cup of water, which she greedily drank. The nurse arrived shortly and had to sit down. What's happened to her? She asked. The children eagerly told her, but the girl herself squatted with her cup. She's blind, the nurse said. She sat cross-legged on the floor and took the girl's hand. What's your name, sweetie? Blind or not, the girl turned her face to her. The nurse bit her lip but squeezed the hand and laid it on her knee. I'm Nurse Vanderbilt. She touched the child's shoulder. Who are you? Ko, the child said. Where are you from, Ko? Shri asked, sitting by the nurse. Where can she be from? Mum said. People have settled on the plateau edge, the nurse mused. She came in a boat. Like a hollow gourd, Shri said, hands describing it. A baby boat, really floaty. Ko turned her face to Shri. Shri felt, or heard, a tingling patter across her skin as Ko moved her eyeless face. Shri raised a hand and felt the half sound pattering on her fingers. Are those scars? Mum asked. Did she ever have eyes? I don't see. And her head? I don't know, Nurse Vanderbilt said. I don't think so. I don't know where they would go. She's really pale, Senarath said. She needs to eat, the nurse said. Mum scooped some turnip out of the pot on the stove. Ko watched. No, not watched. But she turned her face towards Mum and took the spoon and the bowl unerringly, as if she saw it. She seemed to look in the bowl, then put some of the mashed turnip into her mouth. My, Mum said again. She has a lot of teeth, the nurse said, shaky. She likes turnip, grinned Senarath. She can have all mine. Shri sat next to Ko, felt the stoking tingle pass across her again. She touched Ko's knee. I'm Shri, she said. Shri. Ko's hands flexed, broad with wide, flat, dark nails, with 3 fingers and a thumb. They closed gently on Shri's arm. Shri, Ko said. She squeezed lightly and let go. Ko. The Nomarch came later, and Dad, who'd been at the power plant loading thorium pellets. They looked at Ko, and Dad had to sit down too. The Nomarch looked like he wanted to, but he was always on his dignity. He asked for the story twice. How? He said, hesitant. Do you know she's a girl? I just knew when I saw her, Shriani said. And I helped wash her. She's not a boy. Ah. The Nomarch looked at the nurse. What accounts for her shape? Nurse Vanderbilt nibbled the inside of her mouth. She's had a birth defect but deals with it well. She's blind, but her hearing's sensitive. She doesn't talk. She can say her name, Shri contradicted. And mine. Maybe she doesn't speak Iphigenian, Mum said. Maybe a settlement still uses the old languages. Everyone switched, the Nomarch said flatly. Since before I grew up. She might be, well, Dad stopped. She's got multiple deformities, the Nomarch said. She can't talk, she can't see. Cognitively disabled as well. Why not? She can say her name and mine, Shriani repeated louder, defensive. What else can she say? The Nomarch said, not quite sarcastic. Turnp, Ko said. She can say turnip, Mum said, ladling another bowl. People came to see Ko as the rain passed. First a few, then a lot, until the Nomarch sent a broadcast convo to everyone's tablet to please leave them be for now. But he, the 3 school teachers, the nurse, Dad and Mum, stood on the porch talking. Shri and Senarath listened from inside. Of course she's human, Mum said. 2 arms, 2 legs, a face. She trailed off. More to the point, the upper school teacher said. She can eat turnip. Nothing native to Iphigenia metabolizes fully carbon-based food. More to the point, we've found no large animal life on land. None. And no aliens. She's human. But so deformed, the lower school teacher said. The hands. They don't seem human at all. Like scoops. Who knows what exotic chemistry her parents encountered in the Badlands, Nurse Vanderbilt said. In 80 years, has anyone had a baby that badly deformed? The Nomarch asked. I can research that, the nurse said. Shri had her arms around Ko. Ko made a pleasant vibration in her face, a low, ongoing tingly hum. If Shriani listened carefully, she heard it echoing off the walls. I'd cover her ears if I knew where she kept them, she said. Of course she's human. Of course, agreed Senarath. And she's not deformed. What's deformed mean? Made different. A lot different. Accidentally. Because of damaged genes, but people all look different. Dark like us, or lighter, or real light. They're tall or short. Thin and fat, boys and girls. And old Miss Pavlovich is blind. And so is she. But I think she can see, Shri said softer. In a secret way. It would explain, the nurse said outside, why she was in a boat, by herself. The adults fell silent. What do you want to do? The Nomarch asked after a while. That's a terrible thing to do to a little girl, Mum said. If they did that, her parents are awful people. Her voice shook. If that happened to her, Dad said, we'll take her in. How couldn't we? I always wanted another daughter, said Mum. But we'll need a better ration. She seems to like turnips, a lot. Ko ate plenty of turnips at dinner. They dined on the porch under the yellow bug light while the sky dripped, eating bowls of turnips and butter and carrots, which Ko slid into her mouth and ground among her many sharp teeth. Mum served chicken curry, which Ko sniffed delicately and tasted, but did not like. Dad played the guitarina, and Ko, attentive, sat in her odd squat, lightly clacking her broad dark nails on the floorboards. The collective still harvested, so the school stayed closed. The collective assigned Shri and Senarath to ride the truck through the fields, breaking soft clods for anything grown-up gleaners missed. Mum tried to keep Ko with her and the other mothers at the granary. What can she do, blind? But the girl wouldn't stay, running after Shri and the other kids from lower school. Their friends stared, fascinated, as they waited for the truck, gingerly touching her face and withdrawing, shivering. Her face bothered people most. Her blunt head pushed forward something like a dog's, pale and rumpled, flesh delicately spongy like mushrooms. You couldn't tell where eyes should be. After looking long enough and sketching Ko in a classwork book, Shri decided the whole top and front of her skull formed a single smooth, pale, leathery, leaf-shaped organ, lightly spotted cream and beige. From this surface, the tingly, faint squeak and hum emitted. No more ears than eyes, no nose. The mouth, when closed, wasn't obvious but opened broad enough to eat whole carrots comfortably. Which she did, fresh pulled, clean washed or boiled, it did not matter. Neck, shoulders and torso blurred together. The arms and legs gangled. When still, she sat still indeed, but she moved with a sort of lope. If she stood straight, she'd be almost as tall as Mum, Senarath commented. But Ko didn't. She folded herself like a camel cricket, and, when at rest, squatted, faintly humming to herself. What does she eat? How does she sleep? Does she poop? The kids pestered them with questions. She sleeps with me, Shriani said. I gave her my spare nightgown, and she slept in my bed next to me. Can she help us? Even Senarath can help, she said. Hey, he yelped. The clouds parted, shredded, dispersed. Ko, pleased at the warmth, turned her blank face to the bands of pure aqua sky sliced through the cloud deck. The kids danced in puddles spangling gold sunlight, and Ko held their hands and joined them, croaking along with their songs. Then the truck came, and they climbed on. The kids dug after left-behind potatoes. Ko joined with great efficiency once she knew what they looked for, leaning over the furrows and considering. Every time she went scrabbling soil with her wide hands, she brought one up. It's like she can see 'em, Senarath said, and Shriani agreed. They had days of harvest to go. Ko dug, carried, and lifted, and the kids grew accustomed to her, though her odd face, popping up over a lunch table at the community hall, still gave the mothers a start. She learned to say potatoes, carrots, and beans, and liked to eat them all. She said Sisri, and Snurrat, and Dad, and Mum. Nurse Vanderbilt visited daily. Ko called her Kut Vunt Bilt. When the Nomarch visited, she called him Kut Smit. Shri tried to write everything she heard her say. Hard, because Ko made sounds no one else did. Shri couldn't decide if Ko made them with her mouth, the organ on her face, or both. She's not talking exactly, Shriani? Nomarch Schmidt asked, puzzled. No, sir, I teach her words. Or she picks them up. But she doesn't talk exactly. Not sentences. I think, Shri added. She does a little to herself, but not in Iphigenian. No one speaks anything but Iphigenian, except the very old. The nomarch rubbed his chin. Bring her to the community hall tomorrow. Miss Pavlovich will be there. He can speak an old language. Try her out on him. See what he thinks. The 3 children walked the lane to the community hall after breakfast. Ko, with her waddling gait and muddy feet, and Shri and her brother tromping their boots. The sky was now brilliantly clear, and the birds strolled the mud, searching for bugs, worms, and seeds. The drab town looked friendly and warm, though cold autumn approached only 2 weeks away. Miss Pavlovich sat in the sun on the porch with a lap blanket. "Hello, Miss Pavlovich," Shri said. Miss Pavlovich, wrinkly and spotted brown on white, had hardly any hair. He blinked sightless, milky eyes. "Is that Shri I hear? And Senarath, always tagging, and I hear someone else." He reached, and Ko put her hand in his, looking in her way, closely at him. "What a unique handshake," the old man said. "This must be your friend. I've heard of her. My new sister. This is Ko. Ko, this is Miss Pavlovich. Kurt Povitz. Ko, may I touch your face?" He raised his hand gently. "I don't know if she can understand," Shri began. But Ko did, or guessed, collecting his frail fingers in her wedge-shaped grip and bringing them to her. He searched her features and head with great attention, his lips working and pursing, then bent his face for her inspection. "The nomarch said to see if she spoke your language." "Did he?" He sounded amused. "I doubt she can, but I'll try." He spoke a little to her, but she didn't answer. "I can feel her looking at me," he said. "What do you mean?" Senarath asked. "Does she make that noise all the time?" "Yes," Shri said. "She's seeing me." Shri felt warm inside. "You think that too?" "She makes sounds we can hardly hear. They say she's blind, but I think she can see better than any of us." "She can see potatoes in the ground," Senarath said. "I'm sure she can. I'll bet she can see your heart right in you. I can feel her looking at my face. No human can do these things, Shri." "But what can she be?" she asked timidly. "Something that the Biosphere Corps made?" "I don't think so. The Biosphere Corps made everything that's alive, except humans and the native things. But I've never heard of them making anything so different." He stroked Ko's hand, and she chittered. "She came across the flood, I hear, from the Badlands, or the upper plateau itself." He shrugged. "Iphigenia's huge, and we've seen almost none of it. We may never know where she came from, what she is. She doesn't feel or smell Terran, and nothing like anything I've touched that's Iphigenian either. She's sui generis." "What's that mean?" "Unique. All to herself." "Special," Senarath said. "Don't tell anyone what you think, please," Shri said. "They say she's deformed, and they pity her. I don't know what they'd think if... They may guess. The nurse is no fool, and Schmidt's a clever man. That's why the Polis collectives elected him 3 times. But I won't say anything." Shri kept writing words and teaching them, and learning 1 or 2. And the end of summer skies dried, and the high flood waters retreated until the wide saddle to the Badlands lay exposed again under the sun. 2 days later, a group of men crossed it, entering Githion. They were 10, their coveralls caked with bits of dried clay and their boot soles chunky with it, and they had wide-brimmed straw hats and handguns and fowling pieces and heavy chopping knives in their belts. One of them, tall with a long half-healed cut in his face, had a heavy old firearm over his shoulder. It looked like something out of a history book. The men led a pair of pack mules and came into town slow and footsore. Everyone looked at them quietly, because they seemed like serious men. The man with the old gun had a long black beard and dark black eyes and asked to see the nomarch. They sat under a fig tree in front of the community hall. People brought water and bread. The nomarch came at once. "Hello, good day," he said. "Where are you from? How can we help you?" "We're from Wellhead 9, Blackbeard said. He waved north. "Up in the Badlands." He didn't stand up. "I'm Garvon." "I haven't heard of it," the nomarch said. He looked at the guns, uneasy. "Not at all." Garvon's lip curled. "No surprise. We were a little place. Big town like this wouldn't have paid mind to us." "Were?" "It's been destroyed." "I'm sorry to hear that. Floods?" "I wish. We were attacked." The townsfolk murmured in shock. "Attacked?" Nomarch Schmidt exclaimed. "What? By who?" "Right the first time," Garvon said. "By what?" "Things. Out of the ground. 6 weeks ago. They started by pulling crops into the ground from underneath, then burrowed into the fields, taking what they wanted. Men and women tried to stop them. There was a fight. We killed some. They killed some of us." People gasped. "Then they came out like cicadas breaking from the clay. Everywhere, all over, all at once. A massacre." His voice tightened. "All night, 200 men, women and children died. 200. My wife, my children, my friends." The crowd stood silent, shocked. "We found 50 survivors next morning and pulled back to Wellhead 8. We organized, gathered weapons, got volunteers from 8, and then returned. Everything had been knocked over: school, houses, barns, bodies in heaps, dragged away a few hundred meters, mounded like refuse. Piles of rubble, holes like eyes in the ground, everywhere, little black holes hardly wide enough to crawl in. But we did. The crowd grew. "I don't want to do that ever again," said Garvon. "Dark and narrow and hot. It stank." His eyes looked somewhere inside of him. "A lot of men died, but we killed them all." "What did you kill?" someone asked. "Things smaller than men. Pale, blotchy. They wore rags. They fought with sharp sticks and their claws on shovel-like hands." He grasped the air in pantomime. "No eyes." He passed his hands over his face. "Altogether blind. 2 legs, 2 arms. Like moles. Teeth. And they fought with those. We killed them, drove them, and found some kind of a nest hole deep down, with little ones and females, I guess. We killed them and chased them. Found other nests, built fires, and smoked them out. Threw them into the floods. They tried to escape across the torrents." He took a bite of an apple someone gave him and chewed. "At the end, they jumped into boats. They pushed into the floods, putting their young in them and shoving them out. We shot them in the boats. We killed them all." The air under the fig tree was dense with horror. "There can't be anything like that," one of the teachers said shakily. "There's no native land animals other than insects and xenosnakes." "There's fewer native land animals than there were," Garvon said dryly. There'll be fewer when we're done. We're warning neighboring communities to look for signs of them. They make air holes and chimneys. They look natural, but aren't. We'll show you what to look for here too. Have you found more? The nurse asked, frightened. Number? Not yet. Blind, you say? The nomarch said. Shovel-like hands. Pale like grubs. Burn them out like grubs too. The crowd parted like a theatre curtain rising. Shriani hesitated there with her brother and co. Garvon stood slowly. The men with him stopped eating, hands finding their pistols. What the fico do we have here? Mr. Garvon, the upper school teacher said. Children are listening. Please, language. Language, he grated. Children? I've seen children torn apart, miss. Where'd it come from? Her name's Ko, Shri said. Sir. Please, she's hurt no one. He walked towards her. Ko'd been holding Shri's hand, contemplating the men under the tree, or at least facing their way. But once he moved, she stiffened, clung tighter, and began making a soft moaning sound Shri hadn't heard before. Rising, falling. Never hurt anyone? How do you know? She's a kid, like me. A kid, he said scornfully. He pulled his pistol from its holster, and everyone gasped and exclaimed in fear. Here now! What are you doing? The nomarch exclaimed. Nothing I haven't had to do plenty already. He tried to snatch Ko, who dodged behind Shriani. No one doubted her distress. She's scared, Shri cried. Not scared enough yet, he said, trying to push her away. Senareth grabbed his arm. Leave my sisters alone! Garvon shook him off, and he fell. Dad was there suddenly, holding up his hand. Not a tall man. Shri had never seen Dad look smaller, weak in his glasses and thinning hair. The black-bearded stranger towered over, injured face angry. Out of the way, he said. I'm finishing this. Mist Garvon, Nomarch Schmidt said, trying to intervene, but another man from under the fig tree grabbed his arm and pushed him aside. The townspeople sounded angry. Miss Garvon, Dad said. That's my daughter you're threatening. Keep your daughter. I want that thing she's protecting. She is my daughter. Both, Dad said. And this is my son. You won't touch them. Garvon's beard and jaw jutted. Daughter, he spat on the ground. That's obscene. If you'd seen what I've seen. I'm sorry these things happened. But Ko's a child. She didn't do them. And it sounds to me like you've done too much killing. Something bad happened, but I don't think it's fixed by killing a child. It's not a child, but a monster. A monster. If what you say about them is true, why, then they were here first, missed Garvon. Garvon holstered his weapon, dead-eyed. This isn't the end. He put his finger in Dad's face. I'm not going anywhere. He turned on his heel and walked away. No one believed it, yet somehow they did not disbelieve. They saw Ko with different eyes, and she looked strange to them again. Even the nurse walked away without talking to Shri. The kids who usually came before dinner to see Ko, Shriani, and Senarath stayed away. They felt like the only family on the mesa, and had dinner on the porch alone, golden-orange sunset pouring across the fields. The air was quiet and tense, as if another thunderstorm approached. Atum and Ninth westered, both slender crescents accompanying the sun into night. No one had an appetite, and Mum put away food in the icebox before she usually did. "Dad," Shri said. "Yes, Sweetbean? What do you think happened there? Where they come from?" He'd been looking at the reactor manual, glasses perched on his nose, but now he pushed them on the top of his balding head. "I don't know, sweetie." He looked at Ko, nibbling her mashed turnips and butter and making a constant faint noise through her teeth. Shri felt the looking. From the leaf-shaped organ, the girl constantly swiveling her head, gazing across the collective, watchful. She knew him. He scared her, Dad hedged. She knew him. She'd seen him. "He scared her," Senrath said. "Can we take her somewhere else? This is where we live. The No March won't let anything happen." How could he stop him? "Does the polis have guns, Dad?" Senrath asked. "Guns," Dad said. "Some fowling pieces. A couple handguns. A couple things bigger, for jackals and wolves, if any came out the lowlands, or lions, if they ever spread this far. But what you're talking about? People with guns. Other people with guns. That's war, Senarath. We're on Iphigenia to escape war and everything else that happened on Earth. There won't be war on Iphigenia. So if they have guns, how do we stop them from hurting Ko? We talk. And that's what the Nomarsh and the Polis Council are doing tonight. No one's going to let them hurt a little girl. Garvan and his people must respect that. Even if she's not human. No, Shri, even if she's not human. Then wasn't that war what Ko's people did to that settlement? Senarath asked. We don't know they did, Shri said fierce. They have no proof. We don't know what happened, Dad agreed, putting down his fork. And we can't settle it this evening. Senarath, my guitarina. I'll play. He played the instrument on the porch for a long time. Ko sitting between her siblings and Mum, mending under the yellow bug bulb. The Polis Council hall lights stayed on long after bedtime. Next morning, Shriani ran to the community hall, leaving her brother and Ko behind, eating eggs and biscuits on the porch. Mrs. Pavlovich smiled at her voice. Young Shriani, how are you? Scared. I'm scared these men from the Badlands will hurt Ko, she said. He straightened his blanket. It sounds like a reasonable concern, Shriani. The honesty hurt to hear, but she nodded. How do we stop them? By talking. They talked all night. What did they decide to do? Nothing yet, I'm told. Oh. Is there tea? I thought I smelled it. Rosehip tea steeped in a pot, and the woman sweeping the hall gave her a cup of it, painted with ants and grasshoppers. When I was a boy, Miss Pavlovich said thoughtfully as he took it, my dad told me a story. He lived in a mining colony on the Earth's moon, deep underground. One day the war started, and someone shot a missile into it and broke it open. Air rushed from the tunnels and chambers. The lights went out. He took a sip. He was just a child, in the dark, alone. Shriani put her hands over her mouth. I don't like this story. This sounds like history class. This sounds like Garvan. You don't like history. I hate it. It's mean. Dad says Iphigenia's a place where we don't have to have governments, or history, or killing. A grown-up pushed my dad into a shelter to save him. He sat in the dark, holding a stuffed bear. What's a bear? A hairy thing woods. Like a man. He waited for 2 days before someone came for him. He had no idea what had happened or why. My teacher says history is what happens when a lot of people are hurt for no good reason. He reached and found her hand. That's why we have to talk. That's why we have no governments. Why the police collectives run their own affairs. Why the council sat and talked to Garvan all night. The men from the Badlands didn't talk to Coe's people. No, it doesn't sound like they tried. Why? I don't know. Maybe Garvan's settlement learned a bad lesson from Coe's people. We don't know they started it. Sometimes no one starts something, he said. But it happens anyway. She left the community hall to hurry home, but saw the strangers hanging around the fig tree. They saw her also, and Garvan beckoned. She came closer and stopped, rocking on her toes, ready to run. He had clean clothes from the collective. He'd washed his hair and beard, and the nurse had applied fresh dermaplast to the cut on his face. Hat off and gun elsewhere, he looked less menacing. She saw, like on her father, a bald spot. The dark skin under his eyes sagged. He had a bandaged finger and a broken nail. You're the girl with the monster. She's my sister, Mist Garvan. I had a sister until a few weeks ago, he said. Daughter, son, wife. She tried to think what to say. I'm sorry. It sounded stupid. I didn't have one until now. I don't want to lose her. I didn't either. His hawk nose jutted over his beard. He looked tall and wide. They treated them like trash. I'm sorry, Miss Garvan. Not half as sorry as me. Her heart beat hard and her hands shook. Does Coe look like a monster to you? It is a monster. She's scared of you. Maybe you look like a monster to her. Why do you care about it? It doesn't look anything like us. Because she was scared in a little boat. And because she didn't have a mum and dad. I care about her because she's like me anyway. Even if she doesn't look like me. She thought about Mist Polovich's dad. Because she's alone. You're too young to know how different we are from them, how dangerous they are. Maybe, Shri said, her voice shaking. You're too old to know how much alike she and I are. They stared at each other. She wrapped her arms around herself, sick at her stomach. He took a breath, a long one, shoved his hands in his pockets, and turned and walked away. Shriani ran. Dad had already gone to the power station. Mum's friend Anna had driven the laundry van over and lingered a long time collecting the laundry sack. Where have you been, Shri? Sorry, Mum. I gave Mist Pavlovich tea. Anna's got news, dear. Anna nodded. The council decided the outsiders can't do anything to Coe, but they'll let them look for signs of Coe's people. The nomarch said to keep her close until the strangers leave. He doesn't want there to be a mistake. How long are they going to be here? Shriani asked. A couple days. They can leave as soon as they want, she said. Can we go down the road past the switchback and see how the water's doing? Mum nodded. If you want, but stay out of it. Stay away from those men and keep Coe with you. I will, she said, fervent. The water had dropped more overnight, revealing the mesa to its roots. Along its sides, the scanty native vegetation, typically lifeless-looking, had gained a touch of colour to its rigid, glassy leaf blades and wire-like vines. The arroyo still raged with flood, but you could see the fords and the damaged Antinoesis trail over the rugged lands beyond. Drying silt covered the rocks, and pools of water spread. Zuliths studded the larger boulders, their pores open for air. Ko, subdued all morning, scrambled to them, running her hands over them and crooning. Their pores widened, and spore puffs floated out. "Wow," said Cynaruth. "Can you talk to them, Ko?" "Talk," Ko said agreeably. She stroked the Zuliths and climbed down. "Let's look for wrigglers," Cynaruth said. "Let's see if she talks to them." The muddy, still pools, if you watched, swarmed with transparent creatures, undulating bits of clarity with delicate, colourless internal structures. They spent most of the year as dormant cysts buried in clay, but flood season brought them to the surface, floating south into the Elbasan. Settling in receding waters, they bred by some mysterious means. Encysted, and slumbered until next autumn to drift on again. They came fluttering at Ko's shadow, fringed edges oscillating as she hummed, sing-song. "Wow," Cynaruth said again. "Like they know she's there." Shri watched the water's surface, dimpled with vibration. "She calls them, don't you, Ko?" Ko straightened, and the wrigglers slipped into the muddy water. She made a clicking, rasping noise. "Water," she added. Cynaruth gathered flat, colourful stones. "Shri, look at these. Oh, wow, see this one? Ko, what do you think?" "She can't see the colours, silly." Their sister took one and examined it closely, rotating it. "Smoot," she said. "Pretty." They walked too close to the torrent. "But we aren't in it," Cynaruth pointed out wisely, sloshing into fresh churned gravel and shifted boulders. They stepped from stone to stone, looking for bright pebbles and debris out of the badlands, glassy leaves and stiff native silica fibre sticks. Cynaruth made a tiny boat out of a leaf and some scraps. Ko watched him working. Then, as he placed it on the stream, she held Shriani and made a low, sorrowful noise. The boat dipped into the waves, sprang up, mounted the deadly clutching froth, swept away south, never to return. "Did that happen to you, Ko?" Shri asked. "Did your mum and dad put you in a boat?" The strange girl crouched on the wet gravel, looking after the boat, and rocked gently, a thin, weepy noise escaping her. "Ko!" Heedless of the water flowing and ebbing across the eroded banks, she sat by her sister and put her arms around her. "Ko!" "Water," Ko said, her voice indistinct. "Water. Fire." Cynaruth stood by, twisting another leaf in his fingers, the silica fibers creaking, guilt on his face. "I'm sorry," he said. "Don't cry, Ko." "Mum," Ko reaped. "Dad. Mum." "They saved you, Ko?" Shri asked. "Mum." Ko bent double, face low to the wet rocks, knees and elbows high over her head. Steps on the clacking stones behind them, adult and heavy. Cynaruth turned, and the native leaf fell from his hand. Carvon blocked the path, the rough-hewn road, Mesa Road. At their backs were the fords to Antinoisis and a rushing, dangerous flow of grey and russet water. Shri stared. Garvan's black beard made him look fierce, like an animal, and he glared, flashing the whites of his eyes. Ko huddled at their feet, palms flat on the gravel, scooting away until her heels touched the water. She stopped. "Out for a nice day?" Gavan asked. Shriani had no shield against his words and eyes but the truth. "Yes." He turned from her to Senarath. "Fine boat you made." Senarath clenched his fists and held his mouth shut, stepping closer to his sisters. The praise must be a lie. Garvan regarded the hapless Ko between them. "And that? Taking it for a walk?" His hand rested on his pistol. "We came to look at the flood," Shri said. Her voice sounded weak in her ears, thready, like birdsong on a far-off branch. "I've seen a flood," he said darkly. "A flood of things, out of the ground." In his limp face, empty, his eyes receded under black brows, crouching like beasts in holes, staring into some night only he saw. "I'm sorry for what happened, Miss Garvan. But Ko's nice. She wouldn't hurt anyone." Shri stood in front of her. "You wouldn't think it nice if you saw what they can do." "But we hurt them too," she said. "You killed them all." "They started killing us first." He took a half step. "What else could we do?" "Why?" said Senarath. "Why? Why did we have to have a war?" "War? I don't make war on animals." "Do you make war on kids?" Shri asked. He reddened. "We exterminated dangerous monsters. You call that war? Then call it war." "There's no war on Iphigenia." His face was ugly, and he jabbed his finger. "Tell them that." Ko lay flat, as if battered by his voice. "We left Earth to get away from war," she said. "It looks like it got here ahead of us," he replied. "These monsters, wherever they're from." "I only see one monster, Miss Garvan," Shriani said faintly. He snorted. "Haven't you looked at her?" "Maybe that's what they see when they look at us," Senarath said. "Maybe they were scared too. Maybe they aren't any better than us." "Not any. If you were my boy," Garvan snarled, "I'd use my belt." "You had a boy, Mist Garvan," Shriani said. His jaw clenched. "I had a boy," he said. "I had a daughter. Like us." He stared, fingers twitching at his pistol. The boy was older. "What was his name?" Senarath asked. Garvan looked at the water. "Endi," he said at last. "Endymion. But we called him Endi." "What would he have done?" Shri asked. "If he found her?" His lips tightened under his mustache. "He wouldn't have mouthed off to me, that's certain," he said. "Give me that thing." He stepped forward. Ko backed into the muddy rush, ill-fitting coveralls, ankles and cuffs wet as she huddled in her humped posture. Shri and Senarath tried to stay out of the stream, mindful of obeying Dad and Mum, but the water lapped at them. "You told the Nomarch," she began. "I told him what I told him. And I'm here now. And you're here now. And it's here now." They took another step and another. The cold, cold water from the Badlands tugging their ankles, washing their boots to their shins and knees, frothing. Ko, legs soaked, lifted herself higher, putting her arm through Senarath's to balance against the rush. "Mr. Garvin, how's it going to help?" Shri said. "Who knows how they breed? It could lay 1,000 eggs, and it'll start all over. You want that on your conscience?" "She had a mum and a dad," she cried. "You don't know anything about it. Step out of the water and leave it behind." Senarath looked at his older sister and at the man, but she crossed her arms. "No." "Young lady, come here right now," he said. She heard a dad's voice, and he did too, grimacing. She stared at him. "Your daughter." He shook his head, taking another step. "Tell me her name." Her voice was sharp, like the yap of a fox. "Don't accuse me," he said. "I told Celissa to come to me," he said, hardly audible over the water. "She didn't. I couldn't save her. Get here right now." "No!" He stepped into the water, once, twice, reaching with his left hand. They waded back, Senarath exclaiming at the cold. Ko let go of Senarath and stepped closer to Govan, looking up. The angry man looked at the little girl, putting his hand on the holstered weapon. Ko rubbed her hands on her arms, shivering. "Good," she said. "Good. Cold. Sorry. She bent over, almost into the torrent, making the rasping keen, shaking, and then placed her wide hands over the sensitive organ on her face, unmistakably weeping without tears, sagging into the flood swirl. Shri held her, and Senarath put his arms around her, above their knees, in peril. Garvon stood ankle deep, fingers to his gun, looking at 3 crying children. His hand slipped from the weapon, dangling empty. "Garvon!" The nomarch came down the narrow, muddy road with 2 of the councillors and 1 of Garvon's men. "You see any signs of burrows here?" "What?" Garvon half turned. "Burrows. Number." He shook his head. "Number none." "That's hey, kids, out of there." Shri's dark face, wet with tears, shone like the wet rocks at torrent's edge. She looked at Garvon, at his empty face, lips parted. His eyes glittered and closed. He rubbed his hand over them and abruptly turned out of the stream. "That's what I told them," he said harshly. "Told them it wasn't safe to come out." The nomarchs looked from him to the children, and then at Garvon's man, who watched his leader narrowly, his own hand resting easy on his pistol. "Is everything all right?" he said. We had an understanding, Mr. Garvon." "Everything's fine," Garvon said. He beckoned brusquely at them, and they waded from the water, holding each other. His face had no expression, and he walked up the road alone. Shri led her brother and sister onto the gravel. The mesa rose high above them, drying in the morning sun. And autumn was coming to the north.